Record those present, Chaco, Commissioner Sanchez, and Commissioner Martinez. And Tom, you're up to bat, so you start with the issues for discussion.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Commissioners. Issues for discussion. I'm going to get Talling to assist with the first two, since it's actually related to finances.
Good morning. Resolution 27 FY022 is relative to approving the charge-off of Guam Water Works Authority's receivables deemed uncollectible. The last time the CCU looked at write-offs was back in March 2021. It's good practice for us to review our receivable and allowance levels annually so that we can ensure that they're at the appropriate balances. We are proposing that we write off 2,297 accounts totaling $973,916. Of that, 2,290 are related to trades receivable, in other words, billings of water and wastewater, totaling $908,951. The balance, the balance of 7 accounts are related to AR others, totaling $64,964.67. There are 5 commercial accounts, mostly related to sewage discharges or work orders related to damages, and there are 2 government accounts totaling $52,093. One is for the airport, $13,000. The largest is related to equipment rental for a well pullout of $12,000, and then $38,000 for Gpwa. The largest is related to $25,000 for work that was done in Fidian in 2013. Although we're proposing to write off the accounts, we will continue to work on collections of these receivables. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Commissioner Chaco, go ahead.
Yes, so Talling, why are we writing off government accounts?
They're old, and even though we've been trying to collect them, we haven't been able to do so. Between last year and this year, we have made some dent to the Gpa receivables, but there's still, as I said, $38,000 that we haven't been able to collect. And these are
From Gpa?
Yes, for Gpa, and then another $13,000 for the airport.
Okay, but it's not just because they don't want to pay. There's obviously some sort of dispute on the bill that has been unresolved?
We've been billing them regularly and trying to get payment. Where we have supporting documents, we have provided them, and there are some cases where at this point we don't have any. So particularly for the older invoices.
Oh, okay, but what's the rationale for the ones you did provide the documents for them not paying it?
That they're claiming that they never received the original documents related to the billing, and we haven't been able to find it either. So,
and how old
some
are
of
they?
these go back to 2013.
But that's not too far in the past.
Right.
And we just don't have the documentation. GWA doesn't have the documentation to prove its claim.
We've been looking for it. We have some description of what the invoice is for, but we don't have the actual, supporting document.
Okay,
The
Commissioner
one
Martinez.
for GIA, so it was way back 2013?
Let me see how far back that was. That was related to equipment rental for a well pullout, and that was 2014, $12,207.
And same issue, we don't have the paperwork?
We have been following up on it. They've requested supporting documents. Where we have them, we have provided. For that particular one, it doesn't sound like we haven't provided the documents. But I can clarify that.
Now, Tallinn, just so that the commissioners are clear, because I think Simon and I remember this, the airport put in their own water system. We're using FAA money, but we're the operators of that
Yes,
system.
we're supposed to provide the maintenance.
Yeah, so, but we don't own those systems still?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, so when we do work on the system, we
We
have to
bill.
bill. And if you don't provide them with supporting documents, then they're saying, hey, wait, we don't. Okay,
So the-
Just
again, this was
give-
back in 2014. I'm not sure if there was a dispute. I can see
why
if
don't you
there's
check?
additional information.
Yeah, I think I remember once hearing about a dispute over this way back when. And so, it is what it is. But maybe look at those two a little bit more and give us a little more information at the meeting, okay? And now the trade receivables, I have a question. So when we're writing off some of these accounts, what do you do with customers who, when you write off their account, usually, have we disconnected these customers or no?
My understanding is these are all inactive.
Okay, so then that's good. Because in that case, then what happens is they're inactive and you just write them off because you can't squeeze them for the money.
We can't disconnect them.
You can't, they're already disconnected. So what you do though is you keep them in your records so that when they ever reapply, you say, wait a minute, you still owe us, right?
And these accounts are also provided to our collection agency.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
No. My only concern, Mr. Chair, is that, with these intergovernment agencies, there should be no reason why we can't collect.
Yeah.
Especially those that aren't struggling, like the airport and GPA. There's no
And these
reason
are
why.
small amounts.
Yeah, and there's no reason why we should write these off.
Yeah.
Eliminated the deficit.
Well, no, but I agree. One of my concerns is if it's a really big amount, like $3 million or something like that, then I can understand them arguing and say, wait a minute. And we need to then really work on that. But for a small little amount like this, we should just be able to prove that we did do the work or whatever, even if we don't have all the documents. So look at it and let us know, okay? But I agree. Okay, next item, Tom.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners. Tallinn, second.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Resolution 28 FY22 is relative to approving FY22 budget amendments and rate stabilization fund transfers. As you might recall, the CCU approved a rollover of the FY21 cost containment budget in Resolution 26 FY21 in anticipation that the PEC would act on the submitted
Rated package.
financial plan, right? We have tentatively heard that they are planning to hold that rate hearing at the end of September, but because of the delay and impacts related to the pandemic, the increase in fuel, even though we have implemented cost containment, we just haven't been able to keep certain costs. We haven't been able to contain certain costs. For instance,
Your
$6
power
million
bill.
of the $6 million related increase in authorization, $5 million of that is related to our power.
Yeah.
Don't pay it.
increases.
Don't pay, no.
Speaking of government write-offs,
Yeah.
So we are asking for additional budget authorization of about $6 million for a O&M budget at $95,609,096. $609,096. Additionally, when we had asked for the authorization to transfer monies out of the rate stabilization fund, that was also done in anticipation that the PUC would be acting on our rates. So of the 5.3 million in authorization, we've transferred out 4.25. We're asking for an additional 6.1 million out of the RSF into the GWA general fund, and then just as a precautionary measure in case we need to move money to prevent a technical default of our debt service coverage. If we're able to keep our revenues and expenditures in line such that our debt service coverage stays above 1.25, then we won't, we'll minimize any transfers out of the rate stabilization fund.
Okay.
And I'm happy to answer any questions.
I just have one, not a question, but a request. To me, we need to demonstrate that there are some cost increases that are beyond our control, like our power bill. We're affected like every other consumer on the island who gets power from GPA. The LEAC went up, it increased our costs, so there's a cost for that. But in addition to that, we have some other big costs, such as our debt service. And the debt service is going up, right? Or it has gone up.
Yeah.
Okay, so could you kind of give us that information on Tuesday night at our meeting?
If you take a look at attachment A to the resolution, we do show our projections for expenditures at the end of the year. But
Okay. Oh, okay, I
I'll
didn't
make
see
sure
that.
that debt service is also included. I think it's at the bottom of that.
And that also impacts your debt service coverage.
Right.
So, yeah, kind of give us a little more on that on Tuesday night. We'll look at it too. Commissioner Sanchez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colleen, it's also occurred to me that, first a quick question. When was the last approved rate increase by the PUC?
FY21, 5%.
So October of 21.
Yeah.
So we got a rate hike last year.
We have 2 rate hikes.
We had one in FY19. I believe it was in May at 5%, and then in 21, 5%.
And when did the 21 occurred in October? Or when did-
Right, at the beginning of the fiscal year.
Okay, and we wanted another one to take effect,
At the beginning of FY22. So we had submitted our.
which would be
request in May.
last October.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 2 Octobers ago was the last
Right.
PUC approved, and then we've been stuck in this case.
Right.
So it's really been, when October 1 comes up, we're looking at 2 years since the last
Yes.
PUC approved rate adjustment. And we're hoping in September they deal with the case and make a decision. So in line with also what the chairman's suggesting, we know debt service is part of it, but I find myself thinking about in the past, we had consent decree 1, right? And that really created the menu of things we had to do and it forced us into the financial plan, which we've been implementing, of which debt services, we know that 2/3 of the rate increases the last 20 years have been for debt, right? But I anticipate that, with the adjustment that's going to come in September, the perpetual question is from a ratepayer point of view. So what am I getting for this, right? So on the one hand, we say, well, first off, there hasn't been an adjustment in 2 years, right? And that number will be whatever that number. And we are using our reserves to cover the shortfalls, especially that comes from oil and the power bill. There's not anything anyone can do about it. So that all makes sense. But I also know that that's not the only reason that we're building rates and a case for rates, because I'm going to hazard to guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, the adjustment in September that we're requesting is the first of a few. And our original 5-year plan, which is what our case is about, which has been stuck for a year plus, is really a 5-year plan to raise rates over time, to produce coverage, pay bills, and to begin to phase in the cash flows we'll need for the next spate of borrowings for consent decree 2. And I'm not sure, I think one of our challenges in a positive way is we need to begin to prepare the community for, why are we doing this, right? What remains to be done? So much has been accomplished with this set of rate increases. And I have no, as I speak about it publicly, I have no problem saying, your rates have gone up in the last 20 years, but here's what you got. You got ag, you've got all the water tanks being replaced. You've got this, and that, right? And my sense of it is, with consent decree 2, we really want to focus on the distribution and the collection lines, especially the ones over the aquifers, and stopping the leaks and the water losses. The first consent decree was about end Hanamtaki, and get those water tanks up to par, chlorinated, get them working, but we still know, once the water leaves the water tanks, we have really clean water that never gets to Santa Maria. And my belief, my understanding is, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is a huge focus of the next set of rate adjustments is to get the money so we can improve the wastewater collection lines, so we're not sending waste into the ground or into our aquifer, and to reduce our water loss through upgrading our distribution system, right, and improving pressures and things like that. So as the team works on that, I anticipate a need on our side to begin to explain when the next rate increase actually occurs in September, October. It's not the last one. I think we need to think about telling the story about, we've come this far with these adjustments. This is where we're going with the next set of adjustments. There's been a debate over how much and when to start, but we're being told something's going to start in September or October when the PUC finally makes a decision. But it's really still part of an overall plan to generate enough revenue to, one, deal with the real world of today, oil, and also deal with the future need to, we're not done fixing the system. The system broke down over 30, 40 years. It's going to take 20, 30 years to rebuild, especially when you need 1.5 billion. The only way the community can afford it is to spread it out, which is basically what we've been doing, right? But I anticipate the need for us to explain to the community, where is your money going with this next set of adjustments? So if the team, you and the team, and Miguel when he's back, and Tom, and I think, and admin, especially on the public outreach, this summer is a good time to really focus on, we're asking the ratepayers to pay us more. What are they getting for it? And why is it necessary, right? And what happens if you don't get it, right? And the threats to the aquifer and just the environment and kind of falling back on the progress we're making, and that we really haven't touched the water side as much as we'd like to, right? It's all been wastewater. So all that story needs to be, Chris, and you think about that, and your marketing team, and so that's what I found myself thinking about for the last few weeks, knowing that at least some progress is being made on the rate side. But since it's been a couple of years, the public's going to say, yeah, well, for what? The usual baloney, pay raise and all that crap. But most of it is to fix things. We need to tell them what we're fixing and how it will improve their lives and protect our most valuable two resources, the aquifer and the ocean. So,
Commissioner Demchao.
Do we know if we've communicated what we're doing with the PUC, just to make sure they understand, the resolutions that we've passed to, take from the reserve funds? They understand that we're eating into that, and it's putting our debt, ratio at risk, and the ramifications associated that when we discuss with them, what's the status on the, on the consideration of the rates.
Our legal counsel's been taking point with speaking to the ALJ, but I know that our chair has been speaking with the PUC chair. I know there's also, so I believe that the PUC chair is well aware of
Are these
the
public?
implications of the delay.
Are those communications public? Are they done at the regularly scheduled PUC meetings, or is it if it's not on the agenda, it's not brought up?
No, it hasn't been on the agenda because I believe the current rate hearing is set for September 22nd. September 22nd, I believe, is what they're scheduled for. But if it's not on the agenda, they don't discuss it publicly.
Okay, so it's on September's agenda.
No, it'll be for a special meeting.
Oh, for a special meeting.
Yeah, just this one coming up is just Gpwa and solid waste. But I guess they felt that the rate case was important enough and complicated enough that they had to set a special meeting just for the rate case.
Okay.
In our communications with the ALJ, we have expressed our concern about the implications of the delay and the impact that it's having on our reserves and our operations.
And also, one of the things that really impacts us are bond ratings. The ratings we get from the rating agencies, and we've strived so hard to get investment grade rating, and increase our rating continually so that our borrowing costs would be lower. And what we're trying to impart to everybody is if we let that go, then our borrowing costs go up. Less money to go to the project, more money for interest. And that's not a situation we want to be in.
I think the last press release from Fitch did talk about the importance of the PEC action, and
Yes.
that information was provided to the
Yeah.
PEC.
And I've been communicating with the PUC chairman, simply saying, reminding him of all these things and urging him to schedule a meeting. That's what I've been doing. So he assured me the meeting's in September. I don't remember, what was the date again?
I believe
22nd.
22nd, what I heard
Okay.
from the ALJ, so.
And I said to him, I said, okay, but we gotta go because that's right up to the end of the fiscal year again. So, and I'm pretty sure they're not gonna give us rate compression for 1 year. That would just be horrendous for the ratepayer, so I don't anticipate you're gonna get that. But we really need to work on this so that we protect our bond rating and, our investment grade rating, because that's a key, and especially because interest rates are moving the wrong direction right now. Anyway, okay. Commissioner Sanchez.
And just a quick one, is what is the proposed rate hike that they will consider in September? 5%, 3%?
They have two different.
In the ALJ order, proposed order, he was recommending 4% in 22, 3.25 in 23, and 6.5 in 24.
Oh, so he's got a 3-year proposal. Okay.
Right, except that he suggested that the FY '24, that we come back with the consultants. And, I think it's our position that they should just agree to the 23 and the 24, and then, because we're going to start working on the next
5-year rate plan.
And
Yeah, and
it's been taking so long just to get through.
And
things.
every 5-year rate plan, at least the previous ones, I assume the current one we propose, always had a 1-year review anyway, so you can always correct.
Right.
I mean, that was sort of I think the good logic of no rate adjustment is permanent per se, because each year you get to review, hey, a year ago we thought this, how do we do? Oh, oil went up, oil went down, or other, EPA said accelerate projects, and now you gotta borrow money sooner rather than later, all those
Yeah,
things.
it just seems like the last couple of reviews have taken more than a year to get through.
Which is unusual,
Yeah.
and I just wondered whether, just tactically too, what either in the back and forth, not there, but I was surprised and disappointed that when you get a 1-year review, I don't care what's 4, 4, 8, whatever the numbers are, you get to look at it every year. It's like in our family life, none of us just say, okay, this is what we're doing for the next 3 years, nobody look. Right? And so, and I'm hoping that we get back on track with September, but I think that's why I said the other piece of the puzzle is, what aren't we fixing that has to get fixed in order to protect the aquifer, improve pressure, and improve our collection of our wastewater? Because that, I believe, is much of what the second tranche of court or EPA requested consent decree we've agreed to. That's our new list, and we owe it to ourselves and our community that this is what we think we have to fix, this is what US EPA thinks we have to fix, and we got to get going on it, right? And in the same way that, with the same urgency that we had in the past. And the rate adjustments from the ALJ are lower than what we had requested?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so you're jockeying now a little bit with, okay, if you're gonna give us a little lower, can we look at it this way or that way? But it seems to me the annual review seems to have been lost in the discussion, because we know this is an art as much as a science. We project this rate, we'll cover our needs, and then we see what the world allows us to do, right? And when the world adjusts, like oil going to 120, then, and a $5 million power bill that wasn't in anybody's proposal in 2019, but that's what happened. So, and then I think about the public going, whatever you two guys are arguing about, what the heck am I getting for I'm the one paying the bill, what am I getting? And so that piece of the puzzle, Chris, we gotta make sure we fill in that blank, because the financial stuff, it's important to us, important to the PUC. But then Maria is like, okay, my bill's going up, for what?
Right.
So, and that's the other piece of the puzzle, because I think that also helps the PUC. What is the public, this is not a numbers game, this is a results game. With these numbers, we produce these results for our ratepayers. Do you agree with these results? Then
we need the money to get them, right? And do our best to articulate that.
Yeah, one of the problems is the fact that although the AOJ came out with an increase for the 3 years, just to two things. First off, an example is if you get a rate increase, like I said, for 2022, it comes at the end of 2022. So you're really not going to do any true-up because it hasn't been in place. And then you start the 2023 and, it's just a mess. But the bigger problem is the fact that the ALJ, we were ordered to do a cost of service and to come up with a rate design, and he just threw it out the window. There's no rate design. So those things that we had put forward.
He's just holding the same rate design?
Yes, he's just leaving the same.
Bumping our number?
Just bumping our numbers. And what we had done, remember, if we remember what Miguel said.
Very complicated.
He was complicated. He lowered the bottom tranche of.
Some more complex rate structure.
Rate structure to kind of help certain of our ratepayers. And and this is something they asked us to do. And all these studies, the 7 studies that they wanted done. And we did all of them. And then they said, okay, we'll just leave your rate as your design of rates, how you do them, the same way, we'll just give you an increase, which means our most disadvantaged ratepayers again will get hit harder. And that's the thing that puzzles me. But anyway, no, we're trying to work on that. I know Miguel is working, with the ALJ, through his attorney, working on all of that. We'll see. But all your points are good. We have to show what we're doing. One of the things I said, we recently did the ribbon cutting at the Northern Wastewater Treatment Plant. And I expressed my concern that sometimes when we cut the ribbon at some plant like that, people look at it and say, wow, we're done, right? And we're not done because we still have to fix the lines that bring the sewer to the plant. We have leaks, overflows, SSOs. So, that's really the concern we have, and we'll just see how we work it out. But at least we've got a hearing. We've got the PUC chairman to schedule, and I agree with him. I said, yes, make it a special meeting, nothing else. That way, because I anticipate it'll be a long meeting. Anyway, thank you very much. Next item, everybody ready? Next item.
Thank you, Chair. For Resolution 29 FY22, Gpwa, we're not quite ready with this particular resolution.
Okay.
But we wanted to, we anticipate with Miguel coming back.
You'll be ready for Tuesday's meeting.
We'll be ready for Tuesday.
Okay.
But
So what's the gist?
yes, the gist of this particular resolution is relative to approval of Series 2016 and 2020A bond proceeds
Okay.
reallocation.
Reallocation, okay,
Right.
got it.
The gist of this particular resolution is unobligated bond funds in our CIP line items that engineering and Miguel and finance have identified, that unobligated amount would be reallocated towards our court order tank projects.
Okay, to finish them off.
Finish them off.
Okay.
One very important aspect about the tank projects is the cost of construction for these tanks have spiked, and I guess I'm going to add, when I was a chief engineer in 2019, I mean, the price of a tank, we already kind of saw it climbing even, back in 2016, 17, 18, it was climbing. Now we're at a point where, the bond proceeds that we went out and, sought back then, the price of constructing a tank has gone up. So Miguel and Tolling and engineering have worked towards identifying unobligated
Bond funds. For different projects.
Yeah,
Okay.
primarily directed towards the tank project. I apologize, but the anticipated amount right now, I mean, just even having a conversation with Tolling and Mo, who's been working on some of the numbers. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tolling, but we are looking towards, somewhere around 20-ish million of reallocating towards the tanks.
To finish the tanks.
finish.
Yeah, and part of the problem of this is the fact that some of the tanks that we're redoing, we had to acquire some land. And that's taken us time and also a little more money, because we don't condemn land on the government of Guam, we buy land.
And even the tank over, my favorite tank, over by Home Depot, I just love that tank. Yeah, that tank has to be redone, but we're trying to work with the airport authority even, or some other property owner, to get land to really put that tank in the right place. It's not quite in the right place. And I'm so hopeful that when we do that new tank, we'll have a fence around, not just the gate. Because that's my favorite tank. Every time I drive by Home Depot and I look at that tank, I see that beautiful gate, no fence, but we have a beautiful gate. I think there's even a padlock on the gate. We just walk around it. I wanted to put a sign up. I was going to do a sign myself that says, "Beware, invisible electrified fence. Stay away." Anyway, okay, thank you. Any other questions on this? We'll do more on Tuesday night.
But that was the gist of it too.
Got it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Do we have any, now, I don't expect a report on the manager's report, but do you have anything that you can give us in terms of how our finances are doing? Yeah.
Okay, the first look is a snapshot of our key financial indicators. Our debt service coverage for July improved to 1.29. Our cash on hand went down by 1 day to 275 days. Our collection ratio also slipped. We expect to see a bump next month. We got a large payment from
DOE.
from DOE, and
Okay.
there was some of the DOA programs were on pause, but they restarted in August, so we anticipate that the collection ratio will go up. Our days bill went up by 2 days, accounts receivable slipped by 2 days, and our accounts payable also increased by 2 days.
Okay.
Our employee count went down by 1 to 360.
Yeah.
Our demand has been going up. I think this month, or July, was the first month that we saw hotels catch up to last year. And so we're hoping that that trend continues.
Okay.
Going to the next.
Real quick, you're talking about the demand on the commercial sides, right?
Yes.
Like the hotels?
All commercial and commercial, hotel, government have all
Increased?
steadily going up.
Okay, good.
The commercial class is going down as residential, and I suppose that's as, kids are going back to school and
Yeah.
folks are getting back to work.
Okay.
The next slide is a snapshot of our income statement. We had a good month with regards to our operating revenues. That was the highest, last month's was the highest over the last 12 months at 9.1 million.
Okay. Good.
The next slide is our revenue, water revenue by rate class. This is the first month where we've actually seen our year-to-date revenue catch up to last year. So again, we're hoping that this trend continues to increase. The next slide is a picture of our net. Following that is our wastewater. Again, the pie is a little different because of the way that we bill our residential customers. And then wastewater flows is in the following slide. Following that is our year-to-date expenditures. Our power purchases, as was mentioned earlier, are 4.4 million higher than we were last year. And then this is just a picture, the next slide is just a picture of our revenues against demand. The blue is the water, the red is the wastewater, the green is the green is our revenues, and the blue is our water demand, red is our wastewater demand. And then the next slide just shows the water and wastewater separately.
Okay.
Against demand against revenue. The slide after that is our revenues against collections. and, our AR aging, the chart on the left is with, inactive accounts, and the chart on the right, are without, inactive. And the last slide, is just a reminder of our debt
Debt service. Yep.
We did select an auditor, Ernst & Young, one of your new auditors. We're looking to get all the procurement paperwork in place, and we hope to have them in the offices before that.
That's the merge, but they're all the same people at this point,
Yeah,
right?
they're
Is it still Dan Fitzgerald, or is Dan GPA, or?
Dan was at Deloitte. Well, Dan, I think, has been, no, I think Lee Benzel does GPA.
Is Dan
has
on-
been-
Dan GWS?
Dan's been doing GWA.
Okay, and that stays the same as far as we know?
I'm assuming that's what I've been told, but the paperwork that we've seen so far just has E and Y folks, and I don't know if that's because they're still in transition. But the lead auditor moved to the state, so we're going to see a change in staffing.
Oh, who was that?
Janelle, he got a job on the mainland, so.
Lower power bills?
Higher pay.
Higher taxes?
Higher taxes, yes.
I think he moved to Vegas.
Oh, lower taxes. Okay, well, we'll go through this, and I'm sure we'll probably have questions on Tuesday night. We may have questions. Yeah. You know, it's interesting because I believe our tourism is coming back, you know, and we just hope it keeps going back. But at the same time, I read a writing of Doc Pedro Sanchez, Simon's dad, when he was president of the University of Guam. It's back in the early 70s, and he was questioning, do we really want 500,000 tourists a year? And I looked at that and I said, whoa, we've gone past that, way past that. And you know, he was talking about Guam's going too fast.
I think
Sometimes-
Monte Mesa was on the radio yesterday too, when he was suggesting quality over quantity.
Yeah,
We
well,
want tourists that spend more money, but
Well,
not
you know,
necessarily.
you've had visionaries like Doc Pedro Sanchez, Uncle Pete Ada, who have brought that up and said, you know, really, what are we doing? And sometimes I don't think we're in control, to be honest with you. I think the outside investors have gotten control. You know, and it is what it is. The problem is I don't know where we go from here. Sometimes I think it's really good to go back in the past and listen to our leaders back then who had insight, and maybe we should have said, maybe we should have followed some of that. Anyway, I digress. I'm sorry. That's just me spouting off.
All I know is everybody misses February 2020 sales in the private sector. I mean, 2 million visitors, the economy was doing well, our people
Yeah.
were getting paid better, although pool wasn't bad either.
Yeah.
But, you know, so that's the trade-off.
It's a balancing
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, who knows? We just gotta make sure they got power and water.
Yeah.
As
That's our job.
affordably and reliably as we
Yeah.
can make it. That's our
Okay,
job.
anything else? No, that's it? Commissioners,
Nope,
ready
nothing
to
for me.
adjourn? Motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Like that.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.